Cheers.
Hey guys, today I am sitting down with Frank. Frank has been a client of ours for a long time. We've been working together on his inbound marketing strategy. Frank, do you want to just give a little bit of context into what you guys do, just so that can kind of help us as we're going?
We run two full-service retirement communities, Sarasota Bay Club in downtown Sarasota and Jacaranda Trace down in Venice. And have been working with Nextiny for about 8 years on our whole digital platform.
And over that 8 years, a lot has changed. A lot has changed on the inbound side with the evolution of technology and software over time, but you guys have kind of your marketing mix, so something that you rely on to drive your marketing efforts, both from a print perspective and a digital perspective. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Sure. I've been marketing senior housing for about 30 years. Historically, we focused a lot of our marketing in traditional media channels. We use the newspaper, we use newspaper inserts, we use magazines and sponsorships, as well as direct mail. Started about 8 years ago. We'd had websites prior to that, but we really started working with Nextiny on an SEO basis, really trying to make our website show up on Google. That was the whole game back when we first started. And I would say our website at that point was probably viewed more as a video brochure versus a really an interactive environment. So if I look at over the last 8 years, we went from the digital platform being probably 10% of our budget, and now it's right in the 40 to 45% of our budget is dedicated to the digital platform.
How were you able to make that decision? Because it was an evolution that happened over time, but it wasn't something that you just suddenly one day decided for no reason, hey, let's make this switch.
I think as I look at the whole digital, one of the cool things about the digital platform is that it is measurable. And one of the things that we've consistently done with Nextiny is improving our ability to measure how effective the whole digital platform is. I think when we first started, everyone came to me and talked to me about clicks. How many number of clicks I was going to get on something. And I think that, very quickly, it meant nothing to me to have 10,000 clicks. What I really wanted to know was, okay, of the customers that ultimately bought one of our units at Sarasota Bay Club or Jacaranda Trace, how many of them used the internet as a part of their sales process, as a part of making that decision, and what did that look like? And so we added tools over time so that we could measure all that, and it became clear that as we dedicated more energy and more dollars toward improving how our website interacts, Facebook advertising, Google Click advertising, some of these other digital platforms, that we were getting a higher percentage of our people involved in using the internet and all the associated pieces to make their buying decision, and therefore it demanded more of the dollars to do that.
We're not looking at beginning attribution of specifically where did their journey start, but we're looking at, okay, the end point is their journey ending with them as a customer, and was that digital aspect part of their journey, yes or no? And so that kind of cuts out, a lot of people focus on initial attribution. So was this a lead that originated from an event that we had, or a flyer they got in the mail? Everyone focuses on that beginning attribution, which is important to measure as well, but kind of understanding the entire journey that you're creating, the experience you're creating as part of the sales process, and then as well as your brand out there that people can experience for themselves. What does that journey look like, and how successful is that journey for you?
Well, we still use newspaper advertising. We still use magazines and we're involved in the arts in Sarasota, so we support those kind of things. And direct mail is still a very powerful vehicle for us. But what we found is that if we're driving people to our website, there's an opportunity for them to get much more involved in what we're doing. We know, for example, that on average, the people that ultimately buy have looked at, most cases, upwards of 50 pages on our website. A high percentage of them have looked at some kind of video. Almost all of them have downloaded our floor plans, and they're doing that all through our website now. So we're driving, instead of just driving traffic to get someone to visit, I'm trying to drive them to my website, because I know if there's certain website behaviors that happens with that customer, then ultimately they become worthy of my salespeople spending time with them. In HubSpot talk, we came up with the sales qualified lead, and we qualify people based on how they behave, how they respond to us, once we present to them any of our media, it ultimately all flows back so we know they responded to us and what behaviors are they doing. And a lot of those behaviors are on the website before we ever meet them. For me, one of the big revelations was probably 5 years ago, recognizing that for most of our customers, their first impression of us was no longer their visit to one of our communities. Their first impression of us, where they start judging us as being worthy of them, is our website. And so that website had to be very inviting, and it had to give them the answers they needed to trust us enough to come and visit.
Through what we've learned from the data of understanding the trends and averages of customers that have closed over time, we've been able to then incorporate those things into internal campaigns where we make sure that through the definition of a sales qualified lead, your sales team is only notified when those leads come up. And then we can also nurture leads to become sales qualified leads by queuing them up with those different efforts. Download the floor plans, attend a luncheon, etc., to kind of continue to increase the flow of sales qualified leads over time.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I think everyone struggles with when you're doing digital marketing is how do you get on the right side of the spam wall?
Yeah.
And so a lot of our website is designed to collect the information, get permission from that customer to communicate with them. And part of our goal is to allow that customer to communicate with us in whatever channel they're most comfortable with. So if they want to call us, that's fine. You know, some websites you can never find a phone number. You can always find our phone number, because I'd rather have them call. If they'd rather talk to us through chat, we've got a chat mechanism. If they want to just email us back and forth, we can. But certainly getting them on the right side of the spam wall allows us to have regular communication with them, and as you said, nurture them to the point where they maybe want to come in and talk with us. And that's been a really successful part of our whole program. And as we've found better ways to engage the customer in the digital format, then we're just seeing more and more higher results in regards to not only just general traffic to our website, but most importantly in terms of the number of people that use the website and the internet as a function of buying their apartment at either of our communities.
Yeah, and I like what you said about the different ways that people can interact with the site, particularly with the phone number, because a lot of traditional marketers are going to say, well, no, we as marketers don't want the phone number on the site because we have all our conversion forms, and that's how we can track where people are coming from. So you can't have the phone number because otherwise we can't track. But as you know, that's where software comes in. We have CallRail that we use to track the calls that come from the website, and then we've also been able to empower you to be more data-driven through the print side by giving you those tracking numbers on those campaigns as well. So you can really understand call volume online and offline and how that's working for you.
So and I don't remember exactly when we did it, but it was probably 4 or 5 years ago. We moved all of our websites to the HubSpot format.
Okay, yeah.
And the reason we did that was it really did allow us to take all of our responses, whether it was from one of our more traditional media channels or from the digital channel, and know where the customers are coming from, collect that information, and really look at our overall response. Prior to that, we kind of had to guess pretty much, what it is. So if I looked at it from a percentage basis, prior to us putting HubSpot in place, we knew about half our customers really use the internet as an integral part. Now it's over 80% because we've been able to collect all of the rest of the data that says that they originally looked at a newspaper ad, and then they went to our website and spent X amount of time there and downloaded our floor plans, and then ultimately they called us. So we can follow a customer in terms of their journey with us all the way through, and more importantly, we can look at that on a congregate basis and really understand where we put dollars and energy in a marketing plan and how that's generated increased sales.
Yeah, and that's all due to the software side. So you mentioned HubSpot, there's other software like CallRail and some other things that we use as well.
And Wistia, which does the
exactly,
video side.
With the video side of things. So how do you feel about software? Was that something that you could have envisioned 8 years ago, 10 years ago as being such an integral part of your marketing mix?
Since I've been involved in it for a while now, I mean, when we first started building websites, there really weren't even templates at that point. So pretty much everything was custom. And so then when you made a change to it, it was a real pain, quite frankly, and you ended up having to spend a lot of money. And then templates came along and it became easier to change things, but limited some of the flexibility. When we started introducing the software behind that, it freed up the whole architecture of the website, but it also then gave us a way to really look and manage the database that we have of customers and keep that database at a manageable level. So if I look at the total number of people we've attracted into our database that we manage with HubSpot, it's probably 3,000 or 4,000 people for each project. We really only have about 1,500 to 2,000 that we manage, because some of these people they're no longer interested. And that's a good thing to know as a marketer, because it costs money to communicate with everybody. And so if we try to keep that to a much more manageable level. And then, the ultimate corollary of that is that the database of people that my salespeople work with is usually between 100 to 150.
Right.
Which means that when they're working with customers that we think have a high level of interest, they're not spending their time cold calling and calling a bunch of people who just filled out a form, and they call and they go, I don't even remember filling out the form. We're able to handle that on the marketing side, so it's made my salespeople a lot more effective in terms of how they spend their time, and they're spending their time trying to build a relationship with customers that actually have an interest. You don't have near the ability to analyze your effectiveness and adjust quickly without the software. So I know it's come into play, being able to use HubSpot to measure like Google Click and Facebook advertising.
Right.
And we've tried both, and at times Facebook's been the king, and at times Google Click's switched over, and we're able to reallocate dollars based on what is more effective at this particular time. But so instead of guessing though, which is still what I have to do a lot of times when I try a new media outlet in traditional print, we have data that says, okay, well, we ran this program, we put this video with it, it was on Facebook, and we got this amount of traffic from it.
Yeah.
And of that traffic, here's the number that actually turned into a sale. So
right.
That's pretty amazing to me.
Yeah, and we're here to empower you with that data. It's not like the data is just there and you're overwhelmed and looking through your HubSpot account like, oh, what is all of this? We meet and we comb through the data and we give you those insights to show you, hey, Frank, this is working really well. We'd like to make some changes and shifts here to really keep things optimizing over time.
I really feel that we're much more nimble in terms of our messaging and in terms of our ability to respond to the market, our ability to push a little harder when we have an extra need, that we have a high level of vacancies for a particular time and we need to push that. I think it's very simple for us to work with you guys, look at the data and decide where we're going to apply some dollars strategically that can kind of push that along. One of the things about it is you get more data than you ever want to know. Literally, it's scary how much you can see. You can actually see which pages every customer went to. Well, nobody has time to do that or really any interest in doing that. It's really, how do we take this massive amount of data we have, congregate it into something realistic, and then look at how many people do we have at each stage of their sales process or sales and marketing process. Right. And that's been super effective. And then as effective is allowing people to opt out. Right. So that we're not marketing to people that no longer have an interest in what we're doing. You can get really particular about who stuff goes to. So the concept of email blast is not something we're excited about. Right. We're more excited about being able to find 200 people that we think this element may apply to, and then send them very specific messaging to that, and then out of that see who responds.
So what are you excited about, Frank? We're coming into 2020, believe it or not. It's going to be 9 years of marketing and software. What's next for you?
Well, I think that this last year, or really the last 2 years, we've spent a lot of energy on video. And using video to engage our customers in a more powerful and more emotional way. Part of our deal with you guys is we're consistently doing upgraded videos. I think part of what we're exploring now with Nextiny is how do we keep videos fresh? How do we keep them real? How do we make sure that they demonstrate the values of our organization? We have some cool ideas that we're going to be exploring this year in terms of episodic videos that we might use, but we're just in the idea stage in terms of trying to pull that together.
Cool. Well, thanks for joining us today, Frank.
It's always good with Nextiny. Thanks.